At a seaside resort in Mexico, crime lord Harlan Voss murders the project owner to seize the land, turning it into a money laundering hub. Ryan Cole, his assassin, who is secretly a CIA undercover agent, unexpectedly spares the life of the victim's son, a young boy named Ethan Brooks. Amidst the bloody chaos, this act of humanity inadvertently plants the seed for a 10-year vendetta. As Ethan grows up to become a mysterious fighter, 10 years later, Harlan dominates the New York underworld. Ryan continues his mission to gather evidence, while Ethan silently awaits the day of their confrontation. Gunshots echoed through the sky, tearing apart the peaceful night at the Mexican seaside resort. Harlan Voss, a short, stout man with a face full of scars and eyes as cold as ice, emerged from the shadows, a pistol still smoking in his hand. Blood from the victim's head, project owner Marcus Hale, stained the marble floor red, glistening under the neon lights. This is a lesson for those who don't know their place, Harlan growled, his hoarse voice echoing through the party area's speakers. Guests scattered in panic, their screams mingling with the sound of waves crashing on the shore. Harlan hadn't come to negotiate. He came to take what he wanted. For a long time, he had ruled the New York underworld, smuggling drugs and manipulating real estate. Now, he wanted to expand into Mexico, turning this land into a secret casino and a massive money laundering center. Marcus Hale, a middle-aged man with a neatly trimmed goatee, had refused the deal. "Who do you think you are? This project belongs to me and my legal partners," he shouted before Harlan pulled the trigger. Marcus's head exploded, brains and blood splattering across the banquet table laden with fresh seafood and red wine. Harlan smirked, turning to his henchman. "Clean this up. This land is mine now." The mercenaries, muscular men with snake and dragon tattoos, sprang into action. They cut down anyone who resisted, their knives flashing under the moonlight, staining the white sand on the beach red with blood. Ryan Cole stood in the corner of the room, his tall, muscular frame taut beneath a tight black shirt. His short-cropped hair and steel-blue eyes scanned the chaotic scene without blinking. He was a former U.S. Special Forces soldier, but a failed mission had pushed him into the underworld at least. That was his cover. In reality, Ryan was a CIA undercover agent who had infiltrated Harlan's organization for 3 years to gather evidence on his cross-border drug network. "Take care of the rest," Harlan ordered, turning and walking away as if nothing had happened. Ryan nodded, drawing a silenced pistol from his waistband. He joined the hunt, dodging a knife from a guard, then landing a hook punch that sent the man sprawling, his teeth scattering across the floor. Blood covered Ryan's hands, but he didn't flinch. He pursued a group fleeing toward the beach, where the white sand glittered under the late-night moon. Suddenly, a soft sobbing sound came from a thick bush. A boy of about 10, with messy hair, was hugging his knees and trembling. It was Ethan Brooks, Marcus's son. The boy looked up, his large, round brown eyes filled with terror, tears streaming down his chubby cheeks. Ryan aimed his gun at the boy, his finger tightening on the trigger. But then he stopped. That innocent face reminded him of his younger brother, who had died in a botched raid in Afghanistan. "Run, kid," Ryan whispered, lowering his gun. Ethan was surprised, but he quickly dashed into the darkness, disappearing among the thorny bushes. Ryan returned to the villa, pretending he hadn't seen anything. Harlan was laughing heartily, signing the forged transfer documents. "Your boss fell into the sea," he told the remaining henchmen. "Now, let's celebrate." But a strange noise from outside put Harlan on alert. Ryan volunteered to check. He opened the door, and surprisingly, Ethan was sneaking in, holding a rock, ready to attack. Ryan quickly pulled the boy into a dark corner and covered his mouth. "Be quiet if you want to live," he whispered. Ethan struggled, but Ryan held him tight. Pretending to have caught a wild animal, Harlan glanced over and sneered. "It's just a stray cat." He turned away. Satisfied, Ryan released Ethan behind a bush, pushing him toward the sea. "Don't look back. Survive and forget all of this." Ethan gave him one last look, his young eyes now filled with hatred, then vanished into the pitch-black night. Ryan returned to the villa, his heart heavy. He knew this act could blow his cover, but his conscience wouldn't let him kill a child. Harlan clapped him on the shoulder. "Good work, Ryan. You're my most trusted man." But Ryan only nodded, his eyes gazing out at the dark sea. Would the boy survive? And if he did, what would he become after the trauma of losing his father? 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Harlan Voss had now become a notorious kingpin, expanding from Mexico to New York, manipulating drugs, politics, and real estate. Ryan Cole remained his capable right-hand man, but his undercover mission was nearing its end. He had gathered enough evidence on the major deals, just waiting for the right moment to take Harlan down. And Ethan Brooks, the boy from years ago, was now a mysterious fighter. His body hardened from years of grueling training in underground fight clubs. His hatred for Harlan had turned him into a killing machine, waiting for the day of his revenge. But Ethan didn't know Ryan was the one who had spared his life, and Ryan had yet to recognize the ghost from his past that was returning. In New York, the pale yellow streetlights cast their glow on the drizzling street as Ryan drove his black SUV through the heavy traffic. He thought about Ethan, the boy's face still haunting him. Is he still alive, Ryan wondered, shaking his head to dismiss the thought. Right now, he had to focus on Harlan, who was aiming for the governor's seat to gain complete control. But fate was about to take a turn, and the battle had only just begun. Which area are you listening to this story from? And what time is it where you are right now? Leave a comment below so I know you are still healthy and fully focused on this story. My dear friend, we will continue right after this. Ryan, now Harlan's right-hand man, is tasked with eliminating a political rival in New York, all while harboring suspicions about a ghost from his past. Ethan appears at an underground fight club and is recruited by Ryan, who doesn't recognize him, leading to a chaotic blackmail mission and a deadly chase. Amidst the punches and conspiracies, Ryan unwittingly pulls Ethan into a vortex of revenge, heightening his own internal conflict. A steady drizzle fell on the streets of New York, the hazy neon lights reflecting on the wet pavement, creating mottled streaks of light like bloodstains. Ryan Cole gripped the steering wheel of his sleek black SUV, his eyes scanning the dense traffic in the rainy night. The memory of the boy in Mexico still haunted him, those hate-filled eyes like a vague warning. Did I save him? Or just prolong his pain, Ryan wondered, shaking his head to dismiss the thought. Right now, he had to focus on Harlan Voss, who was aiming for the governor's seat to completely control the underworld. Ryan was his right-hand man, but his CIA mission was nearing its end. He just needed one final piece of evidence. The phone vibrated in his jacket pocket. It was Harlan. Ryan, get to the office now. I have a big job for you. His voice was hoarse and full of authority. Ryan turned his car toward the towering glass skyscraper in Manhattan where Harlan ran his empire. The office on the top floor, with a view of the Hudson River sparkling in the rain, reeked of Cuban cigars and expensive whiskey. Harlan sat behind a large wooden desk, his hair white as snow, but his eyes still as sharp and cold as a knife. Governor of New York, he muttered, exhaling a puff of smoke. With that position, I'll control the police, the courts. Even the CIA will have to kneel. He called Ryan in and ordered, "You know what I want. The opponent is Thomas Reed, a clean candidate. Take care of him." Ryan nodded. His black suit fitting snugly on his powerful frame. He has a weakness, a relationship with a girl from the red light district. "I'll use a video to blackmail him." Harlan laughed loudly, slamming his hand on the desk. "Good. Take Henry Kim, my left-hand man, with you. And recruit a new assistant. I need someone ruthless." Ryan left the office, his mind racing. This was an opportunity to gather evidence, but also a huge risk. He drove to an underground fight club in Brooklyn, where the air was thick with the smell of sweat and blood. The ring was hidden beneath an abandoned warehouse. Flickering fluorescent lights illuminating muscular bodies grappling with each other. Shouts echoed from the roped circle where street fighters gambled with their lives. Ryan descended the rusty iron stairs. Watching each match, a giant of a man shattered his opponent's jaw with a punch, sending blood flying. "I need the best," Ryan announced. Stepping into the ring, the fighters stopped, their eyes wary. He drew his gun and fired into the air, making the ceiling tremble. "The most ruthless one here will come with me. It's a chance to change your life." Chaos erupted. The fighters lunged at each other, fists flying, the crack of breaking bones filling the air. One man slammed his elbow into another's face, blood gushing like a fountain. After half an hour of bloody combat, only 3 men were left standing: a muscular black man, a nimble Latino, and a young man with sharp, cold brown eyes, Ethan Brooks. Ethan, now 20 years old, had a solid physique from years of grueling martial arts training. He didn't recognize Ryan, but his hatred for Harlan had turned him into a machine. Ryan shot all 3. They were wearing bulletproof vests and only collapsed from the pain. "Prove your ruthlessness," he said. Ethan lunged first, grabbing the black man by the throat, throwing him to the ground, and punching him repeatedly in the face. Blood mixing with sweat, the Latino attacked from behind, but Ethan dodged, kicking him into the corner of the wall. Ryan nodded, satisfied. "You're the one." Ethan wiped the blood from his hands, his eyes fixed on Ryan without blinking. "My name is Ethan. I'm with you for the money. But don't test me." Ryan clapped him on the shoulder, a fleeting sense of familiarity passing through him, but he pushed it aside. They left the fight club and drove back to downtown New York. On the way, Ryan gave him the assignment: blackmail Thomas Reed. "Reed has a mistress in the red light district. We'll use a video to force him to withdraw." Ethan nodded, clenching his fists. This was his chance to get close to Harlan. They parked outside a luxury hotel in Times Square where Reed was staying with his mistress. Ryan went in first, with Ethan waiting for backup. The suite was dark and smelled strongly of alcohol. Ryan opened the door, pointing his gun. A gift from Harlan Voss. He opened a suitcase, revealing the girl, the witness. Reed shot to his feet, his face pale. "What video?" Ryan laughed coldly. "You assaulted her, then tried to get rid of her. Withdraw, or I'll make this public." Reed screamed, and his bodyguards rushed in from the next room. A fight broke out. One man swung a knife. Ryan dodged and landed a hook to his stomach, causing him to double over. The second man aimed a gun, and Ryan spun Reed around to use him as a shield, firing back and hitting the man in the leg. Blood splattered on the wall, and screams echoed through the room. Ryan pushed the girl out the door. "Run!" He dashed into the hallway, bullets whizzing past him, out on the rainy street. Ethan sped toward him in the car, the door already open. "Get in!" he yelled. Ryan leaped in, and the car sped off. Reed's pursuers followed close behind in 2 black SUVs. Ethan floored it, swerving into a narrow alley, streetlights flashing by. One SUV pulled alongside, A man firing from the window. Ethan swerved, and the bullets shattered the rear window. "Keep driving," Ryan yelled, rolling down his window and shooting out the enemy's tire, causing the SUV to flip over and burst into flames. The remaining SUV stayed close, ramming them from behind. Ethan slammed on the brakes, spun the car 180 degrees, and drove straight at them. The screech of metal on metal was deafening, and glass shattered everywhere. The car came to a stop in a safe area, smoke billowing from it. Ethan jumped out, grabbed the surviving enemy driver, and punched him repeatedly in the face. "Who sent you?" the man mumbled incoherently, his mouth full of blood. Ryan pulled Ethan back. "That's enough. We need to stay alive." Ethan panted, his eyes bloodshot. He was remembering his father. That night in Mexico, they returned and reported to Harlan. "Excellent." He laughed. "Reed will withdraw. From now on, you're Ryan's assistant." "Ethan." Ryan looked at Ethan, a vague suspicion rising within him. Could this young man be the ghost from his past? But he didn't know that Ethan was planning his revenge, and Ryan was unknowingly the key. Harlan called Ryan aside. "I have a big shipment coming in from Russia. Get ready." Ryan nodded, but he felt tense. The mission was close, but with Ethan by his side, everything was more complicated than ever. After being temporarily arrested by the police, Ryan is bailed out through his CIA connections, while Ethan reveals parts of his past in Mexico, arousing Ryan's suspicions. Harlan prepares to expand his drug trade from Russia, sending both of them on a dangerous mission to the port. Amidst the dark conspiracies, Ryan begins to worry about Ethan's true identity, while Ethan silently gets closer to his goal of revenge. Ryan Cole's heart felt as heavy as lead as he walked out of the New York police station, the rain still pouring down, soaking his rumpled black suit. The previous night's chase still haunted him, the echoing gunshots, the blood on the street, and especially Ethan's bloodshot eyes as he repeatedly punched the enemy's face. He fights like a machine, not just for money, Ryan thought, rubbing his wrist, still marked by the handcuffs. He knew that Daniel Hayes, a young, upright officer, had interrogated him harshly about the Thomas Reed blackmail case. But Michael Vance, his undercover CIA section chief, had intervened in time, using his connections to get him out. What about Ethan? He wasn't CIA, yet he was released at the same time. Ryan glanced at Ethan, who was standing under an awning, his hands clenched, his eyes gazing distantly into the rain. "Let's go," Ryan said in a low voice, leading Ethan to a small coffee shop in an old Manhattan neighborhood. The air was warm with the rich smell of espresso, mingling with the sound of rain pattering against the frosted glass window. Sophia, Ryan's girlfriend, stood behind the counter, her brown hair tied up, a gentle but worried smile on her face when she saw him. "Are you okay?" she asked, pouring black coffee for both of them. Ryan nodded, pulling Ethan down to sit at an old wooden table. "You did well last night," he said in a calm voice. "But why were you so reckless? Reed's bodyguards are no joke." Ethan took a sip of hot coffee, his eyes on the rain, his voice low and husky. "I need the money, and I hate scumbags like them. They remind me of the past." Ryan frowned, a sense of unease rising in him. There was a cold edge to Ethan's voice, as if hiding a storm. "Where are you from?" Ryan asked, trying to pry for information without being obvious. Ethan hesitated for a moment, then replied, "I grew up in Mexico, near a seaside resort. My father, he died there 10 years ago. It was a massacre." Ryan felt his heart tighten as if in a vice. Mexico, a resort. The memory of the trembling, messy-haired boy under the moonlight came flooding back. and he struggled to keep his expression neutral. It couldn't be. Could Ethan be that boy? But he didn't dare ask more. Afraid of breaking his cover. Sorry to hear that, Ryan said curtly. But his mind was in turmoil. If it was true, Ethan was here for revenge, and Harlan was his target. His phone vibrated, cutting through his thoughts. It was Harlan Voss. Ryan. Get to the warehouse now. I've got a job. Ryan stood up, signaling for Ethan to come with him. They drove to an old warehouse on the outskirts of Brooklyn, where the air was suffocating with the smell of machine oil and stale cigarettes. Harlan was sitting on a wooden chair, surrounded by Henry Kim and his henchmen. Reed has withdrawn, he sneered, blowing out a cloud of cigar smoke. Now I want to expand. A drug shipment from Russia is coming. I need you and the kid to handle it. Ryan nodded. But he knew this was a huge opportunity to gather the final piece of evidence. This shipment could put Harlan in prison for life. Harlan turned to Ethan, his eyes glinting. You fight well, kid. But I need to see you be more ruthless. Tonight. You go with Ryan to the Hudson port to pick up a small trial shipment. Ethan nodded. But a strange light flashed in his eyes. This was his chance to get closer to Harlan. Ryan led Ethan to the car, his heart as heavy as a stone. At the Hudson port, under the silver moon, a cold sea breeze blew through the stacks of rusty containers. They inspected the shipment as the container was lifted from a secret cargo ship. But suddenly, footsteps echoed from the darkness. A group of unknown thugs rushed out, guns blazing, bullets whizzing through the damp air. Ryan pushed Ethan down behind a wooden crate, drew his gun, and fired back. Taking one man down instantly, the bullet pierced his shoulder, splattering blood on a container. It's a trap, he yelled, rolling to avoid a spray of bullets as wood splinters flew everywhere. Ethan charged forward like a whirlwind, landing a spinning kick to one man's face, snatching his gun, and shooting down two others. He moved like lightning, each blow lethally precise. One man swung a knife. Ethan dodged, grabbed his throat, and slammed his head into a steel container. The sound of breaking bone cracking through the air. Ryan was stunned. Ethan wasn't just a fighter. He was a combat machine, forged by hatred. They cleared out the thugs, but the container was damaged, and part of the shipment was gone. Who sent them? Ryan roared, grabbing the last surviving man by the collar. The man chuckled, his mouth full of blood. Harlan knows who you are. The mole. Ryan let go, completely shocked. Harlan suspected him, but Ethan pulled him toward the car before the police arrived. Sirens wailing in the distance. As they fled, the car speeding across the Brooklyn Bridge. Ryan looked at Ethan and asked grimly, "Who are you?" Really, Ethan was panting, blood on his hands. "I'm someone who wants to survive." "What about you? How loyal are you to Harlan?" Ryan didn't answer, his heart pounding like a war drum. What did he know? Did Ethan suspect he was an agent? The car plunged into the darkness, the police sirens fading away. Ryan knew that from now on, every step he took with Ethan was a dangerous game, and the ghost from Mexico was becoming clearer, making him wonder, was Ethan an ally or a potential enemy? Ryan and Ethan hijack a drug shipment from a Russian female kingpin on a plane, facing a fierce battle. In a life-or-death situation, loyalty is tested, and Ethan begins to suspect that Ryan is not a true henchman. Amidst punches and bullets, Ryan tries to conceal his identity as an agent. While Ethan gets closer to the truth about Harlan and his past in Mexico, Ryan Cole looked at Ethan Brooks through the rearview mirror. The car speeding through the dark streets of New York after their escape from the Hudson port. Blood was still on both their hands. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the rain and dust made the air in the car suffocating. He asked about my loyalty, Ryan thought, his heart racing. The thug's words, Harlan knows who you are. The mole still echoed, making him worry that Harlan was testing him. But Ethan, with his sharp gaze, was the real threat. Ryan stopped the car in an underground garage and turned off the engine. Rest. Tomorrow morning we fly to Russia. Harlan wants us to steal a large shipment from the crime boss, Elena Petrova. Ethan nodded but said nothing, just wiped his dagger with his sleeve. Ryan wondered, is he the boy from Mexico? And if so, how much does he know? The private jet whined through the pitch-black night sky, cutting through the thick clouds on its way from New York to Russia. Ryan sat in the back cabin, checking his Glock 19, his eyes glancing over at Ethan, who was tightening his seatbelt. The cabin air was heavy, the smell of aviation fuel mingling with tension. Harlan had assigned a crazy mission to steal a $10 million drug shipment from Elena Petrova, the infamous ice queen in Russia. Ryan knew this was the final opportunity to gather evidence to take down Harlan, but Ethan made him uneasy. He fights like he's trained for revenge. Ryan thought. Get ready, he said, his voice low. Elena is no amateur. Her henchmen will kill us if we slip up. Ethan nodded, pulling a dagger from his boot, the steel blade glinting under the dim light. I'm not afraid of death, he replied, his voice calm but laced with anger. The plane landed at a private airport on the outskirts of Moscow, cold and surrounded by snow-covered pine forests. The wind howled through the propellers, snowflakes falling lightly. A larger plane was parked nearby, the lights from the cabin shining brightly like a flying nightclub. Elena Petrova, a tall, slender woman with platinum blonde hair, stood among her muscular bodyguards. Wearing an expensive fur coat, she smirked when she saw Ryan and Ethan step down. Harlan Voss sent 2 kids to steal from me. How funny. Elena said, her voice thick with a Russian accent. Ethan tightened his grip on the dagger, but Ryan signaled him to stay calm. We have $1 million as bait, Ryan replied, pushing the suitcase of money forward. Check the goods first. Elena nodded, signaling to open the container. Bags of pure white powder appeared under the lights. Ryan checked, nodding to Ethan. The goods were real, but the real plan: steal the shipment, not pay. Ethan suddenly drew his dagger, lunging at Elena like a whirlwind. The blade sliced through, but Elena dodged as quickly as a leopard. Shouting, "Kill them!" the bodyguards charged in, guns and knives glinting. The fight erupted. Ryan shot one thug, the bullet piercing his shoulder and blood splattering onto the white snow. Ethan spun around, stabbing a guy in the stomach, then kicked the gun from another thug. He moved like a ghost, each stab precise and deadly. Ryan rolled to avoid a hail of bullets, firing back, taking down 2 more. Blood stained the snow, screams mingling with the howling wind. Ethan chased Elena, jumping onto the container, dagger at her throat. "Hand over the shipment, or die," he growled. But Elena pulled out 2 sharp steel plates from her coat. Attacking like a wild beast, the blades sliced through, cutting Ethan's arm. Blood dripping onto the snow. Ethan gritted his teeth, using his dagger to block. The 2 engaged in a fierce battle on the container. Ryan was below, dealing with the remaining bodyguards. One thug charged at him with a sword. Ryan dodged, grabbed the guy's neck, and slammed his head into the container. Ethan. "Hurry up!" he shouted. Seeing Ethan being overwhelmed, Elena kicked, knocking Ethan down. "You're going to die today, kid." She laughed maniacally, raising the steel plates for the kill. Ryan rushed in, delivering a powerful punch to Elena's face, sending her sprawling. He pulled Ethan up, blood streaming from his arm. "Get the shipment. Go." They jumped into the truck carrying the container, flooring it into the pine forest. Elena's bodyguards chased after them, gunfire ringing out, bullets hitting the truck's body. Ethan drove, his eyes bloodshot, blood soaking his shirt. "Why did you save me?" he asked, his voice trembling. Ryan didn't answer, focusing on shooting back through the window. An enemy vehicle closed in. Ryan jumped over, smashing the glass, pulling the driver out. The enemy vehicle flipped over, flames erupting in the darkness. They escaped, stopping at an abandoned warehouse. Ethan clutched his arm, panting. "You're not one of Harlan's." "Right?" he asked, his eyes boring into Ryan. Ryan remained silent, checking the container. The goods were still there. He knew Ethan was suspicious, but he couldn't reveal his CIA identity. "You want to know the truth, don't ask stupid questions," he replied coldly. Ethan smirked, wiping blood off the dagger. "I'll find out. And Harlan will pay." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. What did he know about Mexico? Was Ethan a bigger threat than Harlan? They returned to New York, delivering the goods to Harlan. He smiled smugly. "Good job. You'll be my successor." But Ryan knew that every step with Ethan brought him closer to the truth, and possibly death. Ethan looked at him, suspicion rising, making Ryan wonder, would he spare him when he knew everything Ryan proposed to his girlfriend Sophia, revealing she was pregnant, just as Harlan appointed him as his successor? Ethan uncovered clues about the past, increasing internal tension. While Harlan targeted a major deal with the Japanese mafia in Japan, amid fleeting happiness and dark conspiracies, Ryan faced a choice between his CIA mission and family. While Ethan drew closer to the truth about Mexico, the fiery red sunset stained the New York sky, casting a blood-like hue over the skyscrapers. Ryan Cole stood by the window of his small apartment in the Upper East Side, holding a silver ring that sparkled under the dim light. The memory of the heist in Russia haunted him, blood on the snow, gunfire echoing, and especially Ethan's words, "You're not one of Harlan's." "Right." Ryan shook his head, trying to dispel the doubt. Ethan was suspicious of him, and if he was the boy from Mexico, everything would collapse. But now, he needed to focus on Sophia, the only woman who brought peace to his life, full of deception. Sophia Carter walked into the kitchen, the smell of roasted meat wafting warmly. She wore a simple white shirt, her brown hair cascading down, her gentle smile making Ryan feel like this was where he belonged. "What are you looking at out there?" Sophia asked, placing a plate of food on the wooden table. Ryan turned back, smiling softly. He stepped forward, kneeling, making Sophia gasp in surprise. "Sophia, I can't promise you the world, but I promise to protect you and our child." He opened the ring box, his voice trembling. "Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Sophia's face as she nodded, embracing him tightly. "I'm pregnant, Ryan," she whispered, handing him the ultrasound. Ryan was stunned, his heart stopping. A child, something he never dared to dream of in his life, as a spy. The moment of happiness was interrupted by the ringing of the phone. Harlan Voss was calling. "Ryan, get here now. I have a big job." Ryan quickly kissed Sophia, put on his coat, and drove to Harlan's hideout in the Brooklyn docks. The old warehouse, filled with the strong smell of machine oil and cigarettes, was now the center of a drug empire. Harlan sat in a chair, surrounded by Henry Kim and Ethan Brooks. Ethan stood still, a fresh scar on his hand from Russia glinting under the fluorescent lights. His eyes locked onto Ryan as if searching. "Good job, Ryan," Harlan said, puffing on a cigar. "The shipment from Russia is a turning point. I want you to manage the drugs, while I will become the governor of New York." After the deal with the Japanese mafia in Japan, you'll be the kingpin. Ryan nodded. But his insides were boiling. This was a deadly trap, but also an opportunity to end the CIA mission. He glanced at Ethan, seeing him clench his fists upon hearing Harlan's name. Harlan turned to Ethan. Kid, you prove yourself. Tonight, you and Ryan go to Liberty Port. Check the small shipment before the Japan deal. Ethan nodded, but his eyes flashed with hatred. Ryan pulled Ethan outside, under the silver moonlight. Are you okay? He asked. Ethan pulled out his wallet, accidentally dropping an old photo, a beach resort in Mexico. That was my father's. Ethan said, his voice low. He died there 10 years ago. I won't forgive the one who killed him. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine like a knife stab. Mexico, the resort. He remembered the messy-haired boy, the pained eyes. You. From that area? Ryan asked, his voice faltering. Ethan looked at him, not answering, just picking up the photo and walking away. Ryan stood frozen. Ethan Brooks was the boy he spared. But did he know who he was? And if he did, would he be loyal or betray him? That night, at Liberty Port, the cold sea wind blew through the rusty containers. Ryan and Ethan checked the shipment. But suddenly, a group of assassins charged out from the darkness. Bullets flew. Ryan rolled behind a container, firing back. Taking down one thug, Ethan moved like a ghost, the dagger glinting, stabbing one guy in the neck. He kicked the gun from another thug, then repeatedly punched his face, blood splattering everywhere. Who sent you? Ethan growled, grabbing the last thug by the neck. The guy chuckled. Harlan knows who you are. Kid. Ryan pulled Ethan back. Enough. We need to survive. But Ethan shoved him away, his eyes blazing. Harlan will pay. And if you get in my way, you'll die too. They escaped before the police arrived. But Ryan knew everything was spiraling out of control. Ethan was not just a fighter, he was a ticking time bomb from Mexico. Back at the apartment, Ryan embraced Sophia, trying to dispel his fears. I'll end this soon, he whispered. But in the darkness, he felt Ethan watching, and the secret between them was about to explode. Harlan called again. The Japan deal is coming up. The Yakuza Mafia in Tokyo wants to cooperate. You and Ethan will fly over, negotiate, and steal if necessary. Ryan nodded over the phone, but his heart was tense. With Ethan by his side and the child on the way, he wondered, would he escape this spiral? Ethan, in his own apartment, looked at his father's photo, gripping his dagger. Harlan, you will die, he whispered. But Ryan, the one who spared him years ago, was now the key. And Ethan began to suspect he wasn't the bad guy. Internal tension rose, pushing both into the next deadly mission. During the transaction with the Japanese mafia on a mobile ship off the coast of Los Angeles, Ethan flipped, putting Ryan in danger. Secrets from Mexico exploded, testing loyalty and leading to betrayal from CIA superiors. On the brink of life and death, Ryan had to confront the truth about Ethan, while Harlan tightened the noose, leading to a deadly explosion. Ryan Cole gripped the steering wheel tightly, the car speeding down the coastal roads to JFK Airport in New York. Memories of the proposal to Sophia and Ethan's photo from Mexico swirled in his head, leaving him troubled. He's that boy, and now he suspects me, Ryan thought, his eyes scanning Ethan sitting beside him, silent as a ghost. Harlan Voss had assigned the mission fly to Japan for a major drug deal with the Yakuza Mafia in Tokyo, but essentially to steal if necessary. Ryan knew this was the last chance to gather CIA evidence. But with Ethan beside him, a ticking time bomb, everything could collapse. Are you ready? Ryan asked, his voice low. Ethan smirked. Harlan must die. I don't care who you are, but if you get in my way, you'll regret it. They flew to Los Angeles first, then transferred to a mobile ship off the Pacific, where the transaction was taking place secretly. The large ship, dim neon lights reflecting on the pitch-black sea, waves crashing hard against the hull. Ryan activated the tracking device hidden in the lighter, a signal for Michael Vance, his CIA superior. The FBI will swoop in when ordered, Ryan thought. On the ship's deck, Harlan was waiting via video call, but in reality, it was the Yakuza representative, Hiroshi Tanaka, a short man covered in dragon tattoos. Standing among a group of samurai henchmen, the air was thick with the smell of salt water and gunpowder. Harlan Voss sent you, Tanaka asked, his voice cold. Ryan nodded, pointing to the shipment. Check it out. The transaction began. Tanaka examined the white powder. Nodding. Transfer the money, he said. But Ethan suddenly drew his dagger, lunging at Tanaka. You're working with Harlan. You deserve to die, he roared. The blade sliced through, cutting Tanaka's arm. Blood splattering onto the wet deck. Chaos erupted. The Yakuza drew katanas and guns. Ryan rolled to avoid bullets. Shooting down one thug. Gunfire echoed. Glass shattered. Harlan shouted through the video, "Control the kid." Ethan moved like a whirlwind, stabbing a guy in the chest, kicking the katana from another. Blood stained the deck, screams mingling with the crashing waves. Ryan grabbed Ethan, pulling him behind the shipment. Calm down. You idiot, he yelled. But Ethan shoved him away, his eyes blazing. Harlan killed my father. Do you know anything about Mexico? Ryan. The words cut like a knife. Ryan was stunned. But there was no time. A Yakuza thug charged at him, swinging a katana. Ryan dodged, delivering a hook to the guy's jaw. Bones cracking. The ship suddenly stopped in an abandoned bay outside Los Angeles. Harlan ordered through the loudspeaker, "Take them down to the canoe. Deal with both." But Ethan turned, pressing the dagger to Ryan's throat. "It's not me. It's him," he shouted. "He's the mole." Tanaka frowned, grinning wickedly. "Really, Harlan has suspected." Ryan tried to stay calm, his heart pounding. When did Ethan find out the Yakuza surrounded them? Guns aimed at both. Ethan whispered in Ryan's ear, 10 years ago. You spared my life in Mexico. I remember your face. But if you protect Harlan, I'll kill both of you." Ryan was shocked. Ethan was that boy. He intended to explain, but Tanaka signaled, "Tie them up. Deal with them on the canoe." The henchman bound Ryan and Ethan, pushing them down into a small canoe in the bay. On the canoe, waves crashed violently, water splashing everywhere. Ryan tried to untie the ropes, but Ethan acted first. He cut the ropes with a hidden dagger, lunging at the driver, stabbing him in the neck. He fell, blood mingling with seawater. Ethan turned to Ryan, dagger at his throat. "Tell me." "Who are you, Ryan?" gasped. "I'm CIA. I want to take down Harlan." "Just like you." Ethan hesitated, suspicion in his eyes. Suddenly, the FBI sirens wailed from afar. The signal for the lighter was activated. But Michael Vance, Ryan's superior, had betrayed him, colluding with Harlan. Vance fired a shot from the large ship into the canoe's fuel tank. Flames erupted, consuming everything. Ryan pushed Ethan to jump into the water before the explosion tore through the dark night. Beneath the icy water, Ryan grabbed Ethan's hand, pulling him up to the sandy shore of Los Angeles. They escaped death, coughing violently, blood and seawater covering them. "You owe me a life," Ethan said coldly. standing up. But Harlan is mine. Ryan knew that from now on, Ethan was not just an ally, but also the biggest threat. Vance appeared from the shadows. Gun drawn. Ryan, you're too dangerous. But Ethan lunged, delivering a powerful punch to Vance's face. Snatching the gun. You betrayed him, he asked Ryan. Ryan nodded. Vance sold me out to Harlan. Ethan shot Vance in the leg, causing him to buckle. Now, you'll tell everything. Vance stammered. Blood flowing. Harlan pays more than the CIA. Ryan clenched his fists, his heart aching. Betrayal from superiors had shattered the mission. Ethan looked at Ryan. We will take down Harlan together. But Ryan wondered, would Ethan spare him when he knew the whole truth? They ran into the darkness, the FBI sirens growing closer. But now they were the hunters. Harlan, from afar, laughed smugly. You will die. The tension rose, pushing both into the next deadly spiral. After the ship explosion caused by betrayal, Ryan sacrificed his face to save Ethan, leading to a strange face transplant surgery. Ethan woke up with a new appearance, determined for revenge, while Harlan tightened the noose around Sophia. Amid physical pain and hatred, Ethan carried Ryan's mission, pushing him to the line between justice and darkness. With Harlan drawing ever closer, flames blazed fiercely on the pitch-black sea off the coast of Los Angeles. The explosion from the canoe, echoing like thunder tearing through the night. Ryan Cole and Ethan Brooks surfaced from the icy water, coughing violently, blood mingling with salty seawater. The explosion caused by Michael Vance, the betraying CIA superior, had nearly killed both of them, and now Vance lay motionless on the shore, his leg bleeding from Ethan's shot. Ryan pulled Ethan onto the wet sand, the cold sea wind blowing through their exhausted bodies. You said you were CIA. Ethan growled, his voice strained from pain, the dagger still gripped tightly in his hand. But why don't I trust you? Ryan didn't answer immediately, his eyes scanning the abandoned bay. Vance had betrayed him, colluding with Harlan Voss to eliminate him. Run, Ryan said, pulling Ethan to his feet. But Ethan shoved him away, the dagger glinting. I'm not going anywhere. Harlan must die. Before Ryan could react, a shard from the canoe flew toward him, embedding deep into his face. Blood poured out. Ryan collapsed, clutching his charred face. Skin blackened and blood splattered everywhere. Ethan was stunned, but the approaching FBI sirens forced him to pull Ryan into the darkness. Hold on, Ethan whispered. For the first time, his voice revealed worry. They hid in an abandoned garage near the beach, the strong smell of gasoline and metal overwhelming. Ethan tore his shirt to bandage Ryan's wounds, but his face was horribly disfigured. Charred skin, blood soaking through. He needs a hospital, Ethan said, lifting Ryan into the car, driving to the nearest medical facility in the outskirts of Los Angeles. The doctor examined him, shaking his head. He needs a skin graft immediately. His face is severely damaged. Ethan looked at Ryan lying unconscious, suddenly deciding, use my skin. I owe him a life. The doctor hesitated, but Ethan insisted, do it. He saved me. The surgery lasted for hours in the cold operating room, bright white lights shining down on the operating table. Ethan woke up after 3 days, his face completely bandaged, burning pain spreading like fire. The doctor removed the bandages, handing him a mirror. Ethan was stunned. His face was now Ryan Cole's face, with steel blue eyes and chiseled features. He didn't make it, the doctor said solemnly. We used your skin and his face to reconstruct. He asked you to live well, with a new identity. Ethan clenched his fists, tears falling on a face that was no longer his. Ryan had sacrificed himself, but the hatred for Harlan only intensified. Thank you, Ryan, Ethan whispered, his hand touching the new face. Ethan left the hospital, carrying a dagger engraved with the resort's image, a keepsake from his father in Mexico. He arrived at Sophia's cafe in Manhattan, New York, where she was anxiously waiting for news about Ryan. Seeing Ethan with Ryan's face, Sophia was stunned and embraced him. "Ryan, you're okay," she cried. Not realizing the difference, Ethan did not correct her, only holding her tightly, his heart aching. "I'm here," he lied, knowing the truth would destroy her. Sophia handed him the ultrasound, her child with Ryan. Ethan tightened his grip on the picture, vowing to protect her, even at the cost of his life. But Harlan Voss would not be at peace. He had become the governor of New York, thanks to Vance's betrayal, and was now the police chief. Harlan knew Ryan was an informant, and now he targeted Sophia to eliminate the threat. That night, Ethan received news from Sophia's brother, Kyle, that Harlan's henchmen were searching for her. Ethan rushed to Sophia's apartment in the Upper East Side, where 3 assassins were banging on the door. He burst in like a whirlwind, the knife glinting, stabbing through the chest of the first man. Blood splattered on the white wall, screams echoing. The second man swung a metal rod, but Ethan dodged, delivering a kick that broke the man's neck. The last one pulled a gun, but Ethan was faster, throwing a knife that pinned his hand, then pummeling his face repeatedly, blood staining the wooden floor. Sophia trembled in the corner, cradling her pregnant belly. "Ryan, what's happening?" Ethan pulled her out, whispering, "Run to Kyle. I'll handle this." He helped her into the car. But before leaving, Sophia grasped his hand. "Don't die." "Ryan." Ethan nodded, but his heart was heavy. He was not Ryan, but now bore his mission and his own hatred. Ethan returned to the abandoned bay in Los Angeles, where he lit an incense stick before the wreckage of the canoe. "Ryan, I will make Harlan pay," he vowed, gripping the engraved knife tightly. But Vance emerged from the shadows, gun drawn. "Are you Ryan or that kid from Mexico?" Ethan laughed coldly, the knife glinting. "You'll find out soon." He charged forward, starting a life-and-death battle. Vance fired a shot, but Ethan dodged, delivering a hook to his jaw, teeth flying. Vance swung the knife, slicing Ethan's arm, blood flowing. But Ethan was quicker, stabbing the knife into Vance's abdomen, causing him to buckle. "Where's Harlan?" Ethan growled. Vance mumbled, blood filling his mouth. "He's hunting you." "And Sophia." Ethan ended him with a slash across the throat, blood soaking into the sand. Now, with Ryan's face, Ethan was determined to take revenge. Harlan, from his governor's office, laughed smugly. "You will all die." But Ethan knew the final confrontation was coming, and he had to protect Ryan's legacy, Sophia and their unborn child. Would he be able to keep his sanity amidst the hatred? Ethan, with Ryan's face, eliminated Harlan's henchmen, saving Sophia from assassination, and prepared for the final showdown at the tower in New York. The honest police intervened, but tragedy struck in Ethan's rage. Amidst bloody punches and dark schemes, Ethan faced the truth about his identity, plunging him into the whirlpool of underground justice, where hatred and Ryan's legacy intertwined. Ethan Brooks stood in an abandoned garage in the suburbs of Los Angeles, Michael Vance's blood still staining the dagger, the pungent smell mingling with the cold sea breeze. The new face, Ryan Cole's face, made him feel alien as he gazed into the shattered mirror on the wall. "Ryan, you sacrificed yourself for me," Ethan whispered, tightening his grip on the dagger engraved with the image of the Mexican resort. Vance's last words echoed. Harlan was hunting Sophia. Ethan jumped into the car, flooring the gas towards New York, his heart pounding like a war drum. Harlan Voss had to die. But first, he had to protect Sophia and the unborn child, Ryan's final legacy. On the flight back, Ethan looked out the window at the dark clouds. Reflecting on the past, Harlan had killed his father in Mexico, and Ryan, who spared his life, was now dead to save him. "I will use your face to end everything," Ethan vowed softly. Upon arriving in New York, he received news from Kyle. Sophia's brother Harlan's henchmen were searching her cafe. Ethan rushed to Manhattan, the rain pouring heavily, neon lights flickering on the wet streets. The small cafe still smelled of espresso, but now it was a deadly trap. 3 assassins had burst in. Sophia trembling behind the counter, cradling her pregnant belly. Harlan sends his regards. One growled. Gun aimed at her. Ethan rushed through the back door like a ghost, the knife glinting, stabbing straight into the back of the first man. Blood sprayed out, and he collapsed onto the wooden floor. The second man turned sharply, swinging a metal rod. But Ethan dodged, delivering a spinning kick that broke the man's arm. The sound of cracking bones echoing, the last one pulled a gun, firing a shot that grazed Ethan's shoulder. Blood pouring down. Ethan lunged at him, grabbing his neck, pummeling his face. Blood splattering against the wall. "Who sent you?" Ethan roared, pressing the knife against his throat. The man stammered Harlan. "Knows you're alive." Ethan ended him with a slash. Blood soaking the floor. Sophia screamed, embracing Ethan Ryan. "You're hurt." Ethan pulled her to the car, bandaging the fresh wound. "I'm fine. Harlan is throwing a party at the Empire State Tower in New York. I will end him." Sophia grasped his hand, tears rolling down. "Don't go alone. Our child needs you." Ethan kissed her forehead, his heart aching. He was not Ryan, but now had to live as him. Ethan took Sophia to safety with Kyle, then rushed to the Empire State Tower, Harlan's final stronghold, where he celebrated his governorship with his henchmen. The tower loomed high, the crystal lights sparkling in the night rain. Ethan blended into the crowd of suits and evening gowns in the grand lobby, Ryan's face helping him pass the security. The elevator ascended to the 80th floor, the corridor lavishly decorated with red carpets and bronze statues. But heavy footsteps echoed. 5 of Harlan's assassins were waiting, weapons drawn. "You are Ryan Harlan, aren't you?" one growled, machete glinting. Ethan did not respond. Charging forward like a whirlwind, he dodged the machete's blade, stabbing the first man's chest, blood splattering against the glass wall. The second man swung a rod. Ethan turned, kicking and breaking his neck. The remaining 3 pulled guns, bullets flying everywhere. Ethan rolled behind a pillar, firing back with a Glock hidden in his jacket, taking down 2 men in the blink of an eye. The last man charged at him with a knife. Ethan blocked, twisting the man's neck. The sound of bones cracking echoing. The corridor was now stained with blood. But Ethan did not stop. He charged up to the 86th floor, where Harlan stood in the banquet room, a glass of red wine in hand. "You are persistent, Ryan." Harlan laughed mockingly, but his eyes glinted with suspicion. "Or you're not Ryan." Ethan drew his knife, steel glinting. "You killed my father in Mexico. Today you die." Harlan laughed loudly, signaling. Another group of assassins rushed out, swords and guns glinting. The battle erupted. Ethan moved like a ghost, the knife spinning, severing one man's hand. Blood splattered on the glass. He kicked the gun away from another man, then shot down 3 with his Glock. One man with a bowl haircut, wielding a katana, charged at him. Ethan threw a knife that pinned into his shoulder, then leaped forward, pummeling his face. "Who are you?" the man yelled, blood filling his mouth. Ethan did not answer, slashing across his throat, ending him. But Harlan was not easy to deal with. He pulled a pistol, firing a shot into Ethan's shoulder. Blood gushed out. He gritted his teeth and charged. Harlan dodged, punching Ethan in the face, causing him to crash into a glass table. Shards flying everywhere. "You're just a kid from Mexico." "Aren't you?" Harlan roared, pressing the gun to Ethan's head. "I killed your father, and now you will die too." Ethan laughed coldly, suddenly grabbing Harlan's hand, twisting it back, stabbing the knife into his abdomen. Harlan screamed, collapsing, blood soaking the floor. Just then, police sirens blared. Daniel Hayes, the honest officer, burst in with a SWAT team. "Stop," Hayes shouted, gun aimed at Ethan. "Are you Ryan?" "Or the kid from Mexico?" Ethan panted, blood covering his hands. "I'm not Ryan, but Harlan has to die." He intended to stab again, but Hayes shot him in the leg, causing him to buckle. Harlan took advantage, rolling over, grabbing the gun, shooting Ethan in the chest. He fell, blood soaking the floor, the engraved knife slipping from his grasp. Hayes rushed in, restraining Harlan, but his eyes were filled with pain. "You have destroyed everything." Ethan lay motionless, his breath weak, thinking about Sophia and the child. Hayes checked Vance's files, discovering Ryan was an undercover CIA agent. He sacrificed himself for justice. Hayes whispered, but the tragedy had occurred. Ethan, in his rage, had plunged everything into chaos. Harlan was handcuffed. But did Ethan truly die? In the hospital nearby, Sophia was waiting to give birth, unaware of the tragedy. Underground justice was still incomplete, and Harlan's shadow loomed. Sophia confronted Harlan in the hospital, using the keepsake knife to end him in a moment of surprise. The story revealed a deeper conspiracy from CIA betrayal, pushing Ethan into the line between justice and hatred. Amidst the pain of childbirth and burning hatred, Sophia became the one to end the chain of tragedy, while Ethan fought against death to protect the legacy. The beeping of medical machines echoed in the hospital room in New York, the cold white lights illuminating the pale face of Sophia Carter. She lay on the bed, her pregnant belly round, tightly clutching the ultrasound, the image of her child with Ryan Cole. News of the chaos at the Empire State Tower spread throughout the city. Harlan Voss was arrested. But Ethan, with Ryan's face, was heavily shot, undergoing emergency treatment in the next room. Sophia did not know that Ethan was not really Ryan. She only knew to wait, hope, and pray amidst the pain of labor. In the hallway, the smell of antiseptic mingled with the hurried footsteps of nurses, but no one suspected a ghost was sneaking in. Harlan Voss, who had escaped from Daniel Hayes with the help of remaining henchmen. Harlan limped into the hospital, blood-soaked bandages wrapped around his abdomen from Ethan's knife. His eyes red like a predator. He knew Sophia was Ryan's last weakness, or anyone bearing that face. "If I can't kill the wolf, I'll kill the whole pack," Harlan muttered, gripping the pistol hidden in his coat. He had bribed a nurse to learn Sophia's room, and now he was here to finish it. Inside, Sophia heard the door creak open. She looked up, her heart racing as she saw Harlan step in, a malicious smirk on his face. "Sister, you think you're safe," he said, his voice raspy like a razor. Sophia backed away on the bed, cradling her belly, her eyes flashing with anger. "Ryan will kill you," she hissed, though fear surged within her. Harlan laughed loudly, raising his gun. "Ryan is dead. The kid from Mexico is too. Now it's your turn, and the baby." Sophia looked around, her eyes landing on the engraved dagger, the keepsake Ethan had left on the bedside table. Memories of Ryan flooded back the nights he held her, promising to protect her. "You have taken everything from me," she whispered, her hand stealthily reaching for the knife. Harlan stepped closer. "Oblivious, you and the baby will be a warning to anyone who dares oppose me." He pressed the gun to her forehead, his finger on the trigger. Just then, the door swung open. Kyle, Sophia's brother, rushed in, wielding a baseball bat from the car. "Let my sister go," he shouted, swinging the bat. Harlan turned, firing a shot, but Kyle dodged, the bat striking Harlan's hand hard, causing the gun to fall to the floor. Sophia seized the opportunity, grabbing the knife, lunging forward to stab Harlan straight in the chest. Blood sprayed out like a fountain. He screamed in pain, collapsing onto the cold-tiled floor. "This is for Ryan," she hissed, stabbing deeper. "And for Mexico." Harlan's eyes widened, blood soaking the floor. The wicked smile fading, he slumped down, dead on the spot, his hands still trembling. Kyle stood in shock, embracing his sister. You killed him," Sophia gasped, the knife falling from her hand, cradling her belly as the pain of labor hit. "Call the doctor," she whispered. The police stormed in, led by Daniel Hayes. The honest officer, he looked at Sophia, the knife still on the floor, and Harlan lying motionless. "Are you okay?" Hayes asked, his voice deep. Sophia nodded, tears rolling down. He deserved to die. Hayes checked Harlan's phone, discovering classified files. Vance was not the only traitor. A deeper conspiracy. Harlan had bribed many CIA officials, turning the organization into a tool for the drug empire from Russia to Japan. "This is evidence," Hayes whispered, realizing Ryan was an undercover agent, and Ethan had sacrificed himself to expose it. In the emergency room next door, Ethan lay motionless, the ventilator beeping steadily. The doctor shook his head. "He lost a lot of blood, but he will survive. The face is a transplant." Ethan woke up amidst the pain, Ryan's face staring up at the white ceiling. "Sophia," he whispered, trying to sit up. Hayes walked in, gun still holstered. "You are Ethan Brooks from Mexico. Ryan died to save you." Ethan clenched his fists, tears falling. "Is Harlan dead?" Hayes nodded. "Sophia killed him. But you have plunged everything into chaos." Ethan looked at Hayes, his heart filled with a mix of hatred and justice. "I did it for my father, for Ryan. The CIA betrayed us." Harlan was just the tip of the iceberg. Hayes sighed, revealing the files Harlan colluded with the Japanese and Russian mafia, bribing Vance and many others in the CIA. "Justice will come, but you must face the court." Ethan smiled bitterly, pain spreading. "Underground justice doesn't need a court. Harlan is dead, but the forces he left behind." He thought of Sophia, of the child, Ryan's legacy. Hayes handcuffed Ethan, but his gaze was filled with respect. "You are a hero, but the law is the law." Ethan did not resist, his heart pushing him to the line. Hatred had ended Harlan. But did true justice exist? In the delivery room, Sophia was in labor, unaware that Ethan had survived and was arrested. The pain hit her, but she tightened her grip on Kyle's hand. "The baby will be named Ryan Ethan." The tragedy closed somewhat, but the deep conspiracy of the CIA still haunted, pushing Ethan into prison and contemplation about the path of underground justice. Would he escape to protect his new family? With Harlan eliminated, Ethan vanished into the darkness, leaving a legacy for Sophia's child. An open ending with questions about underground justice and whether new powers would rise, leaving a tragic echo. Amidst the joy of childbirth and the pain of loss, Sophia faced the truth about Ethan and Ryan. While Ethan continued his solitary battle against the remnants of Harlan's empire, Sophia Carter tightly embraced her newborn son in the hospital room in New York, the baby's cries echoing in the warm air, mixed with the smell of antiseptic. The dawn light peeked through the window, illuminating her pale face, where tears still lingered. Harlan Voss had died at her hands, his blood staining the hospital floor, but the memory of the final knife stab haunted her. "Son, you will be named Ryan Ethan Carter," Sophia whispered, placing the engraved dagger from the Mexican resort beside the baby's bed, a keepsake from Ethan, whom she still thought was Ryan. Kyle, her brother, sat beside her, his hands trembling. "Are you okay? The police are investigating." "But Hayes said you acted in self-defense." Sophia nodded, but her heart was heavy. Harlan was dead, but his conspiracy, the drug network from Russia to Japan, still lingered. And Ethan, where was he? In the temporary holding cell, a few blocks away. Ethan Brooks sat in the cold cell, Ryan Cole's face staring blankly at the grey concrete wall. The wound in his chest still throbbed, the bandages soaked with blood, but he did not care. Daniel Hayes walked in, a thick file in hand. "You survived." "Ethan, Harlan is dead, thanks to Sophia. But you are charged with murder." Even if it was self-defense, Ethan smiled bitterly. In his sharp brown eyes, underground justice doesn't need a court. Harlan was just a pawn. Vance betrayed us, and the CIA has many like him. Hayes sighed, opening the file. "That's right. Harlan bribed half of the CIA leadership, turning them into pawns for the drug empire, from Japan with the Yakuza to Russia with Elena. All connected. Ryan Cole died to save you. And now you bear his face." Ethan clenched his fists, memories of the explosion in Los Angeles flooding back, flames erupting. Ryan pushing him into the water. "Ryan spared my life in Mexico. I owe him. Now I will finish what he started." Hayes shook his head. "You can't. The court will try you." But Ethan looked at Hayes, his voice deep. "True justice is out there. Harlan is dead, but his remnants, the henchmen in New York, still live." Hayes hesitated, then uncuffed him. "I see nothing. Get out before my colleagues arrive." Ethan nodded, rushing into the dark hallway, pain spreading but hatred driving him. He vanished into the city's darkness, like a ghost from the past. Ethan drove an old car through the drizzly streets of Brooklyn, the cold wind blowing through the broken windows. He knew Harlan's remnants, Henry Kim and the remaining henchmen, were gathering in an old warehouse, where Harlan once operated. "You will all die," Ethan whispered, gripping the engraved knife. The warehouse was dark, the smell of machine oil and old blood overwhelming. Henry Kim stood in the middle, surrounded by 5 muscular men with handguns. "Harlan is dead, but the Empire lives," Kim sneered, inspecting the last shipment of drugs from Japan. Ethan burst in through the back door like a whirlwind, the knife glinting under the fluorescent lights. The battle erupted. Ethan dodged a barrage of bullets, rolling behind a wooden crate, firing back with the Glock he had stolen from prison. One man fell, blood splattering everywhere. Kim shouted, "Kill him." One guy charged at him with a dagger. Ethan blocked, delivering a hook to the jaw, teeth flying onto the floor. The second man swung a metal rod, but Ethan dodged, delivering a spinning kick that broke the man's leg, the sound of cracking bones echoing. The last 3 charged in, gunfire ringing out. Ethan lunged in, stabbing a man through the chest, blood soaking his shirt. He grabbed another man by the neck, using him as a shield. Bullets embedding into the man's back. The last one aimed his gun, but Ethan was faster, throwing a knife that pinned into his throat. Finishing him off, Henry Kim trembled, pulling out his gun. "Who are you, Ryan, or the kid from Mexico?" Ethan stepped closer, Ryan's face cold, both. "Harlan killed my father. Ryan saved me. Now you die." Kim fired a shot that grazed Ethan's ear. Blood flowing, Ethan charged, delivering a powerful punch to Kim's face, then stabbing the knife into his abdomen. Kim screamed, collapsing, blood mixing with the white powder from the shipment. Ethan burned all the goods, flames erupting and consuming the warehouse. He escaped before the police arrived, vanishing into the night. In the hospital, Sophia held her child and received news from Hayes. Ethan is alive, but he is not Ryan. Ryan died in Los Angeles, sacrificing his face to save Ethan. Sophia was in utter shock, tears streaming down her face. He is the man from Mexico. Hayes nodded and handed her a file. Ethan took his revenge on Harlan, carrying out Ryan's mission. He has vanished now, but the remnants of Harlan's empire have been destroyed. Sophia looked at her son. "You will grow up to know about both of your fathers." But her heart ached. Would Ethan, consumed by hatred, ever return? Ethan stood on the Brooklyn Bridge, the cold wind blowing through his hair as he looked down at the inky black Hudson River. Harlan was dead, his empire shattered. But the underworld would always spawn a new evil. This kind of justice never ends, Ethan whispered, throwing his engraved knife into the river. He disappeared into the darkness, leaving a legacy for Sophia's child. A new generation that would perhaps continue the fight. Would Ethan ever return, or would he remain a ghost forever? New York City still shined brightly, but the greedy darkness still lurked, waiting for its day to rise again. Justice is a fragile thing, and its tragic echo resounds eternally.